It was 2:17 a.m. in New York. The city outside Ethan Carter's apartment was alive, sirens in the distance, taxis rushing through wet streets, neon lights reflecting on the rain-soaked pavement. But inside Ethan's apartment, everything was silent. Too silent. Ethan sat on the floor beside his bed, staring at a single text message glowing on his phone screen. It was from the woman he once believed he would spend the rest of his life with. "I think we should stop talking." That was it. No explanation. No argument. Just 7 cold words that somehow managed to shatter 2 years of memories. Ethan read the message again. And again. And again. Each time hoping the words would magically rearrange themselves into something less painful. But they didn't. He slowly placed the phone beside him and leaned his head back against the wall. The room felt heavier. Like the air itself was pressing against his chest. He whispered quietly to himself. Why does it hurt this much? And that question was the beginning of everything. 2 weeks later, Ethan stopped answering calls. He stopped going out with friends. He even stopped playing the guitar, something he had loved since childhood. Instead, he spent most of his nights scrolling through old photos. Her smile. Her laugh. Her voice in the background of old videos. Every memory felt like a knife. And the worst part? She seemed perfectly fine. Her social media showed her smiling, traveling, living life. While Ethan felt like his entire world had collapsed. One night, after hours of staring at the ceiling, Ethan opened YouTube. Not to watch anything specific. Just to escape his thoughts. He clicked on a random video. The title caught his attention instantly. If you understand this, nothing will hurt you again. The thumbnail was simple. Just an old man sitting on a wooden bench under a tree. The video had only 12,000 views. Curious, Ethan clicked. The video began with a calm voice. Most people believe that heartbreak happens when someone leaves you. The old man paused. But that is not true. Heartbreak happens when you build your happiness inside someone else. Ethan frowned slightly. The man continued speaking. If your happiness lives inside another person, then the moment they leave, he looked directly into the camera. They take your entire world with them. Ethan felt something strange in his chest. Not pain. Not comfort. Something else. Something unfamiliar. The man leaned forward and said slowly. But if you understand one simple truth, nothing in this world will ever break you again. Ethan whispered to the screen. What truth? The video ended. Just like that. No explanation. No answer. Only one line appeared on the screen. Understanding comes from experience, not explanation. Ethan stared at the blank screen. Frustrated. Confused. But also curious. Who was this man? And why did it feel like those few sentences understood his pain better than anyone else? That night, Ethan made a decision. He would find that old man. The next morning. The video description had one small clue. Location, Cedar Valley Retreat, Colorado. Ethan had never heard of it before. He searched it on Google. A small place in the mountains. No website. No contact number. Just a location pin. 3 days later. Ethan packed a small bag. Booked a flight. And left New York. He didn't know what he was searching for. Answers. Peace. Or maybe just a way to stop the pain. But deep down, he felt something pulling him there. Something important. Something that might change everything. Colorado, Cedar Valley. The air was colder here. The mountains looked endless. And the silence felt different. Not heavy like his apartment. But calm. Almost peaceful. Ethan walked up a narrow dirt path that led to a small wooden cabin. And there, sitting on the same wooden bench from the video, was the old man. Ethan stopped. His heart started beating faster. The old man looked up and smiled. Not surprised. Not confused. Just calm. As if he had been expecting him. He gestured toward the empty space beside him. Sit. Ethan hesitated for a moment. Then slowly walked forward and sat beside him. For a few seconds, neither of them spoke. Only the sound of wind moving through the trees. Finally, Ethan broke the silence. Your video. The old man nodded. You came because you're hurting. It wasn't a question. It was a statement. Ethan swallowed. Yes. The old man looked at the mountains in the distance and said something that Ethan would remember for the rest of his life. Good. Ethan frowned. Good? The old man smiled slightly. Pain is the beginning of understanding. He turned toward Ethan and said quietly. And if you understand what pain is trying to teach you. He paused. Nothing will ever hurt you again. Ethan looked at him carefully. Then teach me. The old man stood up slowly. And said. I can't. Ethan's confusion grew. What do you mean? The old man started walking toward the forest trail. You must see it yourself. He looked back once and said. But if you're willing to face the truth about yourself. He pointed toward the mountains. Follow me. Ethan stood there for a moment. His heart racing. His mind filled with questions. But something inside him knew. This journey would change his life forever. So he followed. And what he was about to discover would break every belief he ever had about love, pain, and happiness. The forest trail was quiet. Ethan walked behind the old man, the crunch of dry leaves beneath their shoes the only sound breaking the silence. For almost 10 minutes, neither of them spoke. Ethan's mind was full of questions. Who was this man? Why did his words feel so powerful? And most importantly, what did he mean when he said pain is the beginning of understanding? Finally, Ethan couldn't hold it in anymore. Where are we going? The old man kept walking. To the place where people usually start understanding. Ethan frowned. And where is that? The old man stopped walking and pointed ahead. A small cliff overlooking a huge valley. They walked toward it. The view was breathtaking. Miles of mountain stretched into the horizon. The wind moved gently through the trees, and the sky was painted with soft orange sunlight. The old man sat on a rock near the edge. Ethan sat beside him. For a moment, the old man simply watched the horizon. Then he asked a question. Tell me about her. Ethan froze. How did you know? The old man chuckled softly. People who come here are always running from the same thing. He looked at Ethan. Someone they loved. Ethan looked down at the ground. Her face immediately appeared in his mind. Her name was Lily. He took a deep breath. She left. The old man nodded. Why? Ethan shook his head. I don't know. Silence filled the air again. After a moment, the old man spoke. Most people think heartbreak is caused by someone leaving. He picked up a small stone and threw it into the valley. But that's not true. Ethan looked at him. Then what causes it? The old man turned toward him. Expectation. Ethan frowned. What do you mean? The old man smiled slightly. When you love someone, you don't just love them. You create a future in your mind. A future where they stay forever. A future where they never change. A future where they never leave. Ethan felt a strange heaviness in his chest. Because he knew, the old man was right. The old man continued. But life doesn't follow the future inside your head. It follows reality. And reality. He paused. Is unpredictable. Ethan looked at the valley below. But that still doesn't explain the pain. The old man nodded. You're right. He pointed toward the mountains. Do you see those clouds? Ethan looked up. A large group of clouds slowly moved across the sky. Yes. What would happen if you tried to hold them? Ethan gave a confused look. That's impossible. The old man smiled. Exactly. But people try to do that with happiness. Ethan stayed silent. They try to hold people. They try to hold moments. They try to hold feelings. But everything in life. He pointed at the moving clouds. Is always moving. Ethan felt his thoughts slowing down. Something about this conversation felt deeper than normal advice. It felt like truth. But he still wasn't satisfied. So you're saying love is pointless? The old man laughed softly. No. Love is beautiful. But attachment. He paused. Is what creates suffering. Ethan stared at the ground. Attachment. That word echoed inside his mind. The old man stood up. Come with me. They walked deeper into the forest. After a few minutes, they arrived at a small wooden bridge crossing a narrow river. The water flowed quickly over smooth rocks. The old man stopped at the center of the bridge. Watch the water. Ethan looked down. The river never stopped moving. Every second new water passed beneath the bridge. Can you step into the same water twice? The old man asked. Ethan shook his head. No. Why? Because the water keeps flowing. The old man smiled. Exactly. Then he looked directly at Ethan. Life works the same way. People change. Feelings change. Circumstances change. And when we try to freeze things the way we want. He gently tapped the wooden railing. We suffer. Ethan felt something shifting inside him. But there was still one question bothering him. If everything changes, then what's the point of loving anyone? The old man didn't answer immediately. Instead, he asked another question. Did loving her make your life better at any moment? Ethan thought about it. The road trips. Late-night conversations. Laughing until they couldn't breathe. For a moment, those memories didn't hurt. They felt warm. Yes, Ethan said quietly. The old man nodded. Then it wasn't a mistake. Ethan looked at him. But she still left. The old man smiled gently. And the sunset still disappears every night. Ethan blinked. But that doesn't mean the sunset wasn't beautiful. Those words hit Ethan deeply. For the first time since the breakup. He felt something different. Not pain. Perspective. The old man leaned against the railing and looked at the flowing river. Most people spend their entire lives trying to control things they can't control. People, love, time. And when those things move on, they break. Ethan looked at him carefully. So how do you stop it from hurting? The old man looked straight into his eyes. You don't. Ethan frowned. What? You don't stop pain. You understand it. Ethan's confusion returned. That still doesn't make sense. The old man smiled slightly. It will. He turned and started walking back toward the trail. Ethan followed. After a few minutes, the old man stopped outside the small cabin again. The sun was beginning to set behind the mountains. Golden light filled the valley. The old man looked at Ethan one last time. Come back tomorrow. Ethan crossed his arms. That's it? The old man nodded. For today. But we barely talked. The old man smiled. You heard exactly what you needed to hear today. Then he opened the cabin door and stepped inside. Before closing it, he said one final sentence. And tomorrow. His eyes became serious. You will understand the most dangerous illusion humans believe. The door closed. Ethan stood outside the cabin in silence. The wind moved gently through the trees. And for the first time in weeks, his heart felt a little lighter. But he had no idea that tomorrow's conversation would challenge everything he believed about happiness, love, and pain. The next morning, Ethan woke up earlier than usual. For the first time in weeks, he actually slept well. The air in the mountains felt fresh, almost like it cleared the fog inside his mind. He walked toward the cabin again. The old man was already outside, sitting on the same wooden bench, drinking tea, watching the sunrise. The sky slowly turned orange and pink as sunlight touched the mountains. Ethan sat beside him. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then the old man said quietly, Did you think about what we talked about yesterday? Ethan nodded slowly. A lot. And? Ethan took a deep breath. I think I understand what you meant about attachment. The old man smiled. But? Ethan looked at him. But something still doesn't make sense. What is it? If we don't attach to people, how do we love them? The old man nodded. That's a good question. He placed his cup of tea down. Most people confuse love with possession. Ethan frowned. What do you mean? The old man pointed toward the rising sun. Do you own the sunrise? No. But you still enjoy it. Ethan stayed silent. You appreciate it, without needing to control it. The old man looked back at Ethan. That is what real love looks like. Those words sank slowly into Ethan's mind. The old man continued. But today. His tone became more serious. We are going to talk about the most dangerous illusion humans believe. Ethan leaned forward. What illusion? The old man looked directly at him. The illusion that happiness comes from outside. Ethan immediately shook his head. But it does. The old man raised an eyebrow. Does it? Ethan replied quickly. Of course. Money makes people happy. Love makes people happy. Success makes people happy. The old man smiled. Then answer me this. He leaned slightly forward. Why are so many successful people miserable? Ethan paused. Why are rich celebrities depressed? Ethan stayed silent. Why do people who seem to have everything still feel empty? The questions hit Ethan like small shocks. He had seen it many times. Famous actors. Millionaires. People with perfect lives on social media. Yet somehow, they were still unhappy. The old man stood up. Come. They began walking toward the valley again. As they walked, the old man spoke. When you believe happiness comes from outside, you become a slave to circumstances. Ethan listened carefully. If someone loves you, you feel happy. If they leave, you feel destroyed. If you succeed, you feel proud. If you fail, you feel worthless. He stopped walking. And suddenly, he spread his arms slightly. Your emotional life is controlled by the world around you. Ethan felt a chill run through him. Because that was exactly how he had been living. The old man pointed toward a tree nearby. A strong wind blew through the valley. The tree bent slightly, but it didn't break. Do you know why that tree survives the storm? Ethan looked at it. Because it's strong? The old man shook his head. No. Because it's flexible. Ethan looked confused. If the tree was completely rigid, the storm would snap it in half. But because it bends, it survives. He turned toward Ethan. Emotionally strong people work the same way. They don't depend on the world being perfect. They adapt. Ethan thought about that for a moment. So what you're saying is, we should just stop caring about things? The old man laughed softly. No. You care deeply. But you understand one important truth. And what truth is that? Ethan asked. The old man's eyes became calm. That everything is temporary. The wind moved gently through the valley. Pain is temporary. Joy is temporary. People are temporary. Even we are temporary. Ethan felt goosebumps. Something about hearing those words in that quiet mountain valley made them feel incredibly real. The old man continued. When you understand that everything changes, you stop fighting reality. And when you stop fighting reality, peace appears. Ethan stared into the distance. For the first time since Lily left, he realized something shocking. His suffering wasn't just because she left. It was because he believed she was supposed to stay forever. The old man looked at him carefully. You're starting to see it. Ethan nodded slowly. But there's still something I don't understand. What? How do you actually reach a point where nothing hurts you? The old man smiled gently. That's the final lesson. Ethan leaned forward slightly. And what is it? The old man looked directly into his eyes. You must stop building your identity around temporary things. Ethan blinked. What do you mean? The old man explained slowly. People build their identity like this. I am successful. I am loved. I am attractive. I am important. But what happens when those things disappear? Ethan answered quietly. You feel like you lost yourself. The old man nodded. Exactly. But when your identity comes from something deeper, nothing outside can destroy it. Ethan's heart began beating faster. So where does that identity come from? The old man looked at the horizon. Then he said quietly. Awareness. Ethan frowned. What does that mean? The old man pointed at Ethan. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are the awareness observing them. Ethan tried to understand. When sadness appears, you observe it. When happiness appears, you observe it. But the observer. He tapped Ethan's chest gently. Remains. Ethan felt like his mind was slowly opening to a completely new way of thinking. The old man stood up again. The moment you understand that. He paused. You realize something powerful. Ethan whispered. What? The old man smiled calmly. That nothing in this world can truly damage who you are. The wind moved softly through the valley. The sun rose higher in the sky. And for the first time since his heartbreak, Ethan felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. But the old man wasn't finished yet. He looked at Ethan one last time and said, "Tomorrow, you will learn the final truth." Ethan asked quietly, "What truth?" The old man smiled. "The one sentence that will make the title of my video finally make sense." Ethan's curiosity exploded. What sentence? The old man walked back toward the cabin. But before entering, he turned and said, "The moment you truly understand this." He paused. "Nothing will hurt you again." The cabin door slowly closed. And Ethan realized. Tomorrow might be the most important day of his life. That night Ethan barely slept. Not because of pain this time, but because of curiosity. For 3 days, the old man had slowly changed the way Ethan looked at life. First, attachment. Then, the illusion of external happiness. And now, Ethan was about to learn the final truth. The sentence that would explain everything. The final morning. The sun had not risen yet. The valley was covered in soft morning fog. Ethan walked toward the cabin. The old man was already there. Standing near the cliff. Looking down into the endless mountains. Ethan stood beside him. For a moment, silence. Then Ethan finally asked, "You said yesterday that today I would understand everything." The old man nodded. "Yes." Ethan took a deep breath. "So tell me. What is the one thing that makes a person unbreakable?" The old man smiled softly. Then he asked a strange question. "Ethan, have you ever watched a movie?" Ethan frowned. "Of course. And when a sad scene appears, what happens?" "You feel emotional. And when a happy scene appears? You feel happy." The old man nodded. "But do you ever forget that it's just a movie?" Ethan shook his head. "No." The old man turned toward him. "That awareness protects you." Ethan listened carefully. "You experience the emotions. But you never lose yourself in them completely." Ethan slowly began to understand where this was going. The old man continued. "Life works the same way." Ethan stayed silent. Events happen. People come and go. Pain appears. Joy appears. But most people forget one important thing. The old man stepped closer. They think the movie is real. Ethan's eyes widened slightly. They become completely lost in the story of their life. They believe every painful moment defines them. They believe every loss destroys them. He pointed toward Ethan. "But the moment you remember that you are the observer of the story, not the story itself." He paused. Everything changes. Ethan felt a powerful shift inside his mind. The old man's voice became calm and slow. "You are not your heartbreak. You are not your past. You are not the opinions of other people. You are the awareness experiencing life." The wind moved softly through the valley. "An awareness," he smiled gently, "cannot be broken." Ethan looked down at the valley below. For the first time, he saw something clearly. Lily leaving didn't destroy his life. It destroyed the future he imagined. But the real Ethan was still here. Still breathing. Still capable of living. Still capable of loving again. The old man continued quietly. Pain is part of the human experience. But suffering. He paused. Comes from misunderstanding reality. Ethan turned toward him. So the title of your video? The old man nodded. Yes. Ethan slowly repeated the words. If you understand this, nothing will hurt you again. The old man smiled. It doesn't mean you will never feel pain. It means pain will no longer control your life. Ethan felt something inside him finally relax. Weeks of emotional weight slowly disappeared. The old man looked at the rising sun. Heartbreak teaches one of the most powerful lessons in life. And what lesson is that? Ethan asked. That happiness cannot be taken from you. Unless you place it inside someone else. Ethan closed his eyes for a moment. He finally understood. Love people. Appreciate moments. Enjoy life, but never build your entire identity around things that can disappear. Because everything in life changes. But the awareness experiencing life remains. Ethan's return. 2 days later, Ethan returned to New York. The city looked the same. The streets were still loud. The lights still bright. But Ethan was different. When he saw old photos of Lily, he didn't feel anger. He didn't feel broken. He felt gratitude. Because those memories were part of his story. But they were not his identity. Weeks later, Ethan started playing guitar again. He started meeting friends again. He started living again. And one night, while scrolling through YouTube, he uploaded a video. The title was simple. If you understand this, nothing will hurt you again. In the video, Ethan shared the lessons he learned in the mountains. Not as a motivational speech, but as a story. A story about heartbreak. A story about awareness. A story about discovering that peace was never outside. It was always inside. The video slowly began gaining views. Thousands. Then millions. Because deep down, almost everyone on earth had felt the same pain Ethan once felt. And everyone was searching for the same answer. Ethan ended the video with one final sentence. If someone leaves your life, let them go. If something changes, accept it. If pain appears, observe it. Because the moment you understand that life is just an experience passing through you. He paused. And then said quietly. You stop being afraid of getting hurt. The screen slowly faded to black. And one final sentence appeared. Understanding doesn't remove pain. It removes the fear of pain.